Is everybody good?
Everyone's rolling. You are
all
ready
good?
to go.
I'm hoping he's going to be in a good mood today.
Woo!
Mambas are terribly unforgiving of a mistake.
How many people would this venom yield kill?
So in the case of black mamba venom, if we were to say, well, 10 milligrams is lethal, and I think that's probably high, we would be looking at
Okay, ready to go again. And action.
Over the years, we have milked venom from all of the world's most dangerous snakes. And if you've been following along with these crazy escapades, then you know that we have strategically skipped over one of the most terrifying species, the mamba.
We are back in Deland, Florida, at the Reptile Discovery Center. And as always, we'll be working with America's favorite snake expert. Look at Karl back there getting warmed up for a morning filled with fresh snake milk.
In the world of venomous reptiles, there's nothing more terrifying than an angry mamba. They're fast, strong, intelligent, calculated, and armed with a highly neurotoxic venom that if it enters your bloodstream is a guaranteed death sentence. Now here's something crazy. Karl has been bitten not once, but 3 times by these snakes, which makes today's venom milking episode the most dangerous one that we've ever produced. Hey!
Hey, Coyote, how you doing, man?
I'm good, Karl. How are you?
Welcome, welcome. Good to see you guys.
Thank you. We are back, and we are here to milk mambas. Let's talk mambas for a second, because generally people know there's the black mamba.
Yeah.
They know there's the green mamba, but in total, how many mamba species are there?
Yeah, so we really just say 4 species. 3 species of greens, and then of course the infamous black mamba. They are all African snakes. They're kind of distributed in different places through sub-Saharan Africa. Although interesting, the black mamba has the largest range of the 4 different snakes.
And the black mamba, as everybody out there watching knows, is so revered throughout its range. I mean, it's the snake that truly terrifies people. I would say of any snake on the planet, we hear that people are more afraid of black mambas when we're traveling, mostly than any other snake. What makes a mamba so dangerous?
Yeah, you're gonna see a little bit of it today. Black mambas, of course, get big, almost 12 feet. That's an enormous venomous snake to begin with. They're terrifically toxic. Years ago, they would say before the advent of antivenom, the black mamba was 100% fatal in a bite. That's probably not entirely true, but no doubt. He's a hypertoxic, very large, very active elapid. So even though mambas are in fact shy, nervous, retiring snakes, when people are forced to interact with one or inadvertently step on one or have cornered one, they become a formidable adversary and a really challenging snake.
Okay, now the word that you said in there was nervous. And I can completely identify with the nervous nature of a mamba, having worked with one in the wild. We did work with a black mamba in the wild in South Africa.
That's magnificent.
And they keep you on edge for sure. And it's that nervousness that's very calculated at the same time. So in your opinion, when we're talking one being more dangerous than the other, green versus black, which one ranks as a more dangerous snake?
Well, as a more dangerous snake to handle, certainly the black mamba.
Okay.
And then more dangerous in general, again, the black mamba. He's capable of a large venom yield, a terrifically toxic venom. They're a challenge to handle, as you say, somewhat calculated and deliberate, and terribly unforgiving of a mistake. So we were doing lots of mamba venom in the late 90s and early 2000s. I have been bitten by 3 of the 4 species of mambas. That's very embarrassing.
Okay, so let's talk about being bitten by the green mamba for a second first.
So the green mamba was actually my second mamba bite, and because of the work we do with snake venom, I have become hypersensitive, allergic to snake venom. Like you would be to bee venom, it makes my work a little trickier. We have a terrific, what we call anaphylactic event. We tend to treat that on the way to the hospital, meet the emergency services people. They get an airway for me, get me going, and then into the hospital for antivenom. But by the time I was in the hospital bed, So now we're talking 20, 30 minutes post-bite. I was getting sick. I was having blurred vision. I was salivating. I couldn't get a kind of a swallowing thing happening. And so we were already starting to experience some neurotoxicity and this kind of thing. The tissue involvement and the blood formations happened later over the course of the next 2 days.
So, do you have Mamba antivenom here on site if the worst case scenario were to happen and heaven forbid you were to be bitten?
Absolutely. So we've got a number of different Mamba antivenoms on site.
Now, my heart is going faster than normal. We're in a tight enclosed room. There's lots of venomous snakes. You're telling me this story about having been bitten by the snake species. I know the demeanor of these creatures. Do you at all get nervous in working with any of these, especially something like the Mamba coming out today? Any
No.
sense of like heightened anxiety?
No, but I get hyper-focused.
Okay.
You know, the whole thing that allows us to do our job is we don't fear the snakes, we understand them, but we certainly understand what's in play and the gravity of a snake bite. It's not something we take lightly.
Yep.
We haven't had a snake bite in 16 years. We've been safe for a very long time. We're going to continue that safety record today. Moving, coming towards you, Mario.
Whoa. Wow, it's beautiful.
They really are spectacular, aren't they?
Pressure.
Don't change anything. Good.
Whoa.
Tell me when everybody's good.
I'm good, Mara. You good?
So this is the milking moment right here, and smaller things, obviously, so you don't worry about them necessarily catching a finger, right?
So as elapids go, Mambas have pretty long fangs, especially blacks. And remember, greens are often arboreal. They're almost strictly arboreal. And so these guys are often feeding on little birds and that kind of thing. And so those longer fangs help them. So we're going to bring him through. There he goes. You saw that first little shot.
Yeah.
Again,
Oh.
another. And another. Give him 1 second. We'll see if he'll bite one more time for us. So,
That was crazy how it shot out of the fangs, more than just a drip. It was like, boom.
yeah, you see this beautiful little chut, chut, chut. You know, again, they'll give you 3 or 4 shots. And let's see if she'll go one more time here. And that's about it.
I saw a little bit on the backside there.
So that's a good yield for that snake. We typically plan on about 50 milligrams for a green. My guess is that's actually quite a bit more than that. And as I said, that beautiful, slender, arboreal snake. And as a lapid go, these guys are really great snakes. I mean, that's really a beautiful, spectacular animal. We'll go back in.
is.
Everybody's good?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. The way the venom shot out was much different than we've seen from some other elapids. I mean, once that venom goes in, guaranteed death sentence without antivenom. That went pretty smoothly, I'd say, right?
Good, right?
Yeah. Okay, let's get this venom secure. We're gonna come back to that at the end of the episode. And we're gonna tell you guys how many humans Karl estimates that yield would be able to kill. But first, we gotta talk black mambas.
Yeah, Coyote. So the black mamba becomes kind of a formidable snake as soon as you decide that you're going to interact with him.
Yeah, this snake, like as soon as we had the flashlight on, it knew, okay, I've been spotted, and as soon as we started moving stuff, it was like, get me out of here. It wanted to get away.
Yeah, right. Well, there you go. So they're always looking for an out. And they're thinking, I got to get out of here. Rightly so, right? They're dealing with this. So the thing with black mambas is they're somewhat unpredictable, particularly when they're restrained. And so we never entirely know how that's going to go in terms of how much trouble we're going to have actually just getting a hold of him safely. And when I say safely, that's both for us and for him.
Yep.
Or we're really concerned about making sure our animals are not hurt in the process and that they're handled properly and gently, but within reason, because we really are paying attention to what's happening here. And as you said, the idea of working an 8-foot elapid in this area that's unhappy.
It's intense. We did King Cobra here a couple years ago, and that got intense real quickly. Don't worry about the camera. But this is compounded because not only is it a calculated, highly toxic snake, but this is another species that you were bitten by, and you are very much allergic to the black mamba venom as well.
Right, so a black mamba bite was the first mamba bite I had, a big 9-foot male, way back in 1997.
How did that happen?
And we had actually collected the snake's venom, and I was returning the snake to the cage, and we were somewhat new to black mambas. We had only been handling them for about a year at that point, and I was still gaining my understanding there of those guys. And as I was going back into his cage, I had his coils kind of grouped in this hand, and I got his head too close. I went and he struck onto that finger.
And they're strong, so he was able to just use the momentum and the power of his body.
Exactly, and I didn't foresee it. You know, he saw that thing. We always used to say years ago when we were doing a lot of Mambas, Mambas are terribly unforgiving of a mistake.
Yes.
They're really aware of their distances. They're really aware of where you are. And so the big thing there is, right, you're never close enough. You're never in striking range. And of course, I thought I was controlling the snake's head, but I wasn't adequately controlling his head. And so back into this. So that was it. And we got some pretty good venom on that bite, and things began to happen very rapidly. At that point, I was not allergic to mamba venom.
Okay.
So it was a straight black mamba bite, and we were really able to document some amazing symptoms. But black mambas, again, heavily neurotoxic. Things began happening really rapidly. I was vomiting, blurred vision, convulsions. I was having bronchospasm. So we had some really serious symptoms. One of the good things about black mamba venom is it neutralizes well. So once you're getting antivenom, I can remember when they started the antivenom wide open, I could almost feel this sensation of, oh, okay, now we're moving in a better direction than we were. So after 2 days of intensive care, things got good very rapidly. And there's almost no local issues with mamba venoms, or at least black mamba venom.
Right.
So we don't see any tissue involvement or big hemolytic factors here, hemorrhaging, none of that stuff like you would be in a rattlesnake or a viper bite. So blacks are kind of purely neurotoxic, both post and presynaptic, but that thing can really get going fast.
Okay, so care is of the utmost importance today, and a couple of years ago when we milked the king cobra, you had this amazing grab of the snake after it was just so rambunctious, and I said,
Whoa! Look at the speed! Karl is faster than the cobra.
we know 1 point Karl was not faster than the mambas, so hopefully today I can say Karl is faster than the mamba.
Karl is getting slower.
So let's get out the black mamba. Mara's gonna pop back in and help you wrangle the snake. We'll get into position. This is as intense as it's going to get today, guys, when it comes from a danger level situation. The black mamba coming out, we've got to be extremely careful. So Karl, we're under your command. You let us know where we need to be, and let's make sure everybody's safe.
Okay, great. Is everybody good?
Everyone's rolling. You are
All
ready
good?
to go.
I'm hoping he's going to be in a good mood today. So we'll see.
Oh my gosh, that's a big snake. He's a monster. Woo!
I'm right in. Whoa, there, baby. Nice. Okay. Babe, good. Want to get him there? And you have him? Okay. Hold on 1 second.
Good. You ready, Karl?
Yep, all set. Everybody's set. You can be wherever you want to be.
Okay.
Get that, put that over there.
See, this is what I experienced. They coil up and they're so strong. That's one thing that I did not anticipate with the black mamba, is its ability to coil around you. And when I was presenting the snake on camera, the only thing I was thinking is that if I lost control of the snake, and remember, we had it in a tube, so I felt much more in control than you are now. If you lost control, that snake would be latched to you.
100%. And as you said, if he's wrapped up around you, getting rid of him presents a very real issue. So it's one of the reasons we stopped going back into the cage and we started just going into a transfer camp.
Okay.
So you can see he's ready to bite. He never fully understands this restraint thing. Is everybody good for him to bite?
Yeah.
Very good.
Everybody's good?
Yep.
There he goes again. Wicked
Wow,
shot right
so
there.
fast.
Wicked shot. Good. Another shot.
Look at that, just the bite and release. And it can control how much venom it's giving, correct?
Totally metering what it's giving me, absolutely. We think that process is largely cognitive, and he's deciding, I'm gonna give you this, I'm gonna give you this. And Mambas, again, especially blacks and westies, really famous for these shots at a time, a little bit. We'll get him again in 1 second. Are you good?
It is the intensity that the venom shoots out that you can understand how quickly then that gets into your body.
It's a millisecond, right? It's a millisecond. With blacks, I can remember on my bite, moving to the sink to wash my hands. You always take a minute to decide if the bite is actually hot. And all of a sudden, my lips start going numb, my face is tingling. I was maybe 20 seconds into that snake bite. And I remember thinking, here we go.
And hot means you've got venom in your body, correct?
We've definitely got a hot bite, right? So one more shot. Perfect.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was even a
Great.
decent amount of venom right there.
Yeah, so that's really a good yield. We're probably looking at 150 megs there,
Okay.
which is about what we like for an adult black, about there. And he really did a good job today.
All right, I'm gonna just back up out of the way a tiny bit there. So
Perfect. So
Wow.
Mara, you're gonna go back to your grab stick. Yeah, good. And then will you do me a favor? See
Yeah.
that garbage can right next to you, Coyote?
This one.
Take all that stuff off it, yep. And you're just gonna put it down there by Mara. Awesome, great.
lid off the top.
Yep,
Please.
perfect.
Okay, so I'm pressure now.
Yep, and you've got him.
I've got him.
Good, now hold on 1 second, good. I'm gonna let him go. I've got him, thanks, buddy.
Okay, I'm letting go.
Yep, grip that. That's a lot of snake. Hold on. Yep, hold on. Thanks, Coyote.
And that's where I say, Karl is faster than the Mamba. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! That was intense. The snakes are back in their enclosures, so we feel a little bit safer at this point. But we've still got two very toxic cocktails in front of us, the green mamba venom, the black mamba venom. And Karl, this is the part of the episode where we add up the number of what I like to call tombstones in regard to snake venom yield. Talk to us about these yields, and then we would love to hear your estimate as to how many humans this yield plus this yield would be capable of killing. So let's talk about this one and then that one, and then we'll add them up.
Okay, Coyote, so when people talk about dangerous snakes, there are really two parts to that, maybe three parts to that equation. One part to that equation is venom toxicity. So we know that mambas really rank up in the upper toxicities of snake venoms, right? So as the lapids, cobras, and mambas, and all these snakes go, coral snakes, mambas are right up there. The next part of the danger equation is venom yield. And this has to do with how much venom does a snake put out in an average snake bite. And so we're going to talk about mamba venoms here, the East African green and the black. The East African green yield is about 50 milligrams of venom on an average yield. Now remember, we had that snake bite multiple times.
And it's got a pretty low viscosity.
This does. So some mamba venoms tend to be pretty light, pretty almost watery, whereas lots of our cobra venoms, this kind of thing, tend to be really viscous. King cobra venom is almost like maple syrup. All of that plays a role in how the venom spreads in the body. But so in the green mamba yield, now remember, he bit 2 or 3 times on this thing. We wind up with about 50 milligrams of venom. And we think that a guesstimate on green mamba lethal dose is probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 or 15 milligrams of venom.
Wow.
So this would be probably in the neighborhood of 3-4 lethal doses of venom, something like that.
Okay. 4 tombstones off of the green mamba bite. Now black mamba, bigger snake,
Whole different
bigger
picture.
yield.
Sure. And a greater toxicity. So black mamba venom, we think probably somewhere, a lethal dose, probably somewhere between 5 and 10 milligrams. To give you a sense of that, that would be like 5 or 10 grains of salt in your hand. That's a lethal dose of black mamba venom. Again, we had that snake bite more than once. He gave us about 2 or 3 shots in here, but we're looking at about 200 milligrams in that draw right there. So of those shots, we were looking at probably 50 milligrams, 60 milligrams, this kind of thing. We wound up with a total yield of about 200 milligrams. So in the case of black mamba venom, if we were to say, well, 10 milligrams is lethal, and I think that's probably high, we would be looking at 20 lethal doses of venom here. So, and if we cut that in half, 40 lethal doses of venom. And again, we were talking about danger and yield being a part of that. So a big king cobra might give you 1,200 milligrams of venom for maybe 60 lethal doses.
Okay.
So even though quite a bit less toxic than the black mamba, the king cobra, or at least less toxic, huge amounts of venom.
Yep.
Or an eastern diamondback, where you might get 10 lethal doses of venom in one shot, because it's way less toxic, but lots more venom. Does that make sense?
Makes complete sense. So it has to do with the level of toxicity, the yield, and I imagine the last part then becomes the snake's proximity to humans and how often you may or may not encounter that snake based on where it is that you live. So what we're ultimately able to surmise here is that a mamba bite is a guaranteed death sentence without antivenom regardless. It doesn't matter if it's going to kill 4 people or 20 people, you are one single individual person. And if you were bitten by either of these snakes, it's a medical emergency.
No question, a medical emergency, and potentially, depending on how much venom he injected, lethal. Yes, absolutely.
So what happens with this venom now that we've milked it? Where does this go specifically?
So the venom here will be filtered, it'll be cleaned up a little bit, it'll be frozen, and then it'll be freeze-dried into a powder form, into a powder substance. And once we have it in that freeze-dried form, it can be stored for literally decades. All of our mamba venom is going to research applications. We are not producing these venoms particularly for antivenoms. Some of the labs around the world are producing venom specifically for mamba antivenom. We don't do that here. Our mamba venoms are produced for research, and a good part of it is in the United States or Europe.
Right. And when it comes to antivenom and its availability based on where you live, so here in the United States, the snakes we can come across, antivenom is produced that specifically can help people if they are bitten by those species local to them. But in a country like South Africa, where you've got a lot of these snakes, depending on where you live, could be a big difference as to whether or not you can even get antivenom, correct?
Yeah, you know, I think the African continent is really a good place to think about the disparity in snakebite treatment worldwide. So we still see tens of thousands of deaths from snakebite in places like Sub-Saharan Africa, in places like Southeast Asia, in parts of Central America and South America, where medical care may be days away. And in fact, when the individual gets to where they're going, there may not even be antivenoms available.
So it's not even guaranteed that if you were in Africa and you were bitten by mamba, that if the medical facility you got to may not even have mamba antivenom.
May not even have mamba antivenom, and the medical facility may in fact be 2 days away from where you are out in the bush working with animals or whatever it is you're doing out there.
Proximity is
key.
Everything.
In developed countries, we have an incredible luxury in access to medical care and access to antivenom in snakebite.
Well, Karl, the work that's being done around the world, specifically the things that you and Mara are doing here to milk snakes and then ultimately have that venom be produced into antivenom, is saving lives on a daily basis. Thousands of lives every single year. So thank you for all the continued work that you're doing.
Thank you,
Thanks
sir.
again, as always, for having us out here to the Reptile Discovery Center. Getting to milk the mambas today was certainly the top level of venomous snakes that we could have done a venom episode.
Glad you guys enjoyed it.
I'm Coyote Peterson. Be brave, stay wild. We'll see you on the next adventure. That was a good one. We made it through it.
Snake bites seriously injure or kill over 600,000 people worldwide every year. How crazy is that? And Karl told us about this amazing group, the Asclepius Snakebite Foundation, a nonprofit that is dedicated to reversing the tragic cycle of snakebite outcomes through innovative research, medicine, and public health initiatives. Believe it or not, snakebite is a global health crisis. And if you want to help, check out their website, because every donation helps them save lives.